Hey, good day. Welcome. This is Greg Luss, the city manager here in Lebanon, and welcome to Lebanon in Depth. I am very happy today to have join with me in our show, Paul Boucher, with our local Chamber of Commerce, as our director of our Chamber of Commerce, our executive director. I personally, I have really, Paul and the leadership at the Chamber had invited me to be an ex officio member of the board, so I could come to the board meetings, and I have just had a wonderful time being on the board. And they also invited me to their retreat, and I had a great time. And Paul, I just thank you, and I thank your president and all your leaders that to have this allow me and to welcome me into the community. And I want to personally thank all of you. And
well, we're very happy to have you. And the give and take is very good, and you give us a perspective too of what's going on in the city and where we as a chamber should be going also in the same direction.
It's a great learning experience for me. Not breaking with my routine, I always ask my guests, how did it come that you ended up to be the executive director here at our chamber?
Well, it goes back a number of years, actually. Well, my background was banking and insurance. I was a banker for 10 years, and I was a property and casualty insurance broker for 18 years. But my association with the Chamber goes back to 1979, when I was working for then the old National Bank of Lebanon, which is now Citizens Bank.
Oh, okay.
Became a director in 79. And in 1983, I became the president, the volunteer president, and I served 2 years, 83 to 85, as the president, the volunteer president. That following year, I was named the Citizen of the Year by the Chamber of Commerce and the City of Lebanon, of which I'm truly grateful to this day. And from that point on, I've chaired that committee. So from 1985 on, I chaired the Citizens of the Year committee. So when my predecessor, Jim Wexler, decided he was going to retire after 22 years, the Chamber came after me, knocked on my door, and said, "Might you be interested?"
Oh, nice.
Jim was, actually, the Chamber was formed in 1916.
Oh, wow. So
February,
the Chamber, there's a lot of strength in there.
Yeah, we're working toward our 100th, and
that's great.
And told my chair the other day I hope to be here for the
Absolutely,
100th.
that'd be great centennial.
It's ironic, as it was formed on February 11th, which is my birthday, but not 1916. And so I am actually the first full-time director of the Chamber. Jim was part-time, and we had part-time directors. So we're one of the oldest full-time, without-a-break chambers in New England, actually.
That's great.
And I am in my 14th year with the Chamber. So in 36 years, we've had just 2 directors in the Chamber. So we've had some continuity. So, as I say, I was hired on a handshake, and been here ever since, and it's been a pleasant experience, having lived up here for 38 years. Moved from the southern part of New Hampshire up here. Still considered a flatlander, even though I am a native of New Hampshire, native of Hudson, New Hampshire. My mother, sister, brother are still there, and we visit often. But my kids went to school here, and been a great place to raise kids. And
it's really great.
So it was smooth transition, still having worked with the Chamber, and I think it's done. And as you mentioned, excellent board that we have, a good mix from. We have the hospital representative, the college representative. We have retail. We have manufacturing. We have real estate. We have banks, all different represented on the board, and it gives us a good perspective.
Yeah, it's really great. And you're in the midst of a move. Are you doing a U-Haul, or what are you doing?
No.
Tell us about the move.
Well, and we'll be talking about it a little bit further too. But about a month ago, we had a board retreat, which we hadn't had in a few years, and brought out my old friend who did a retreat for us 10 years ago. He was he was serving as a retiring director of the Manchester, New Hampshire Chamber of Commerce after 22 years. And so he did a retreat for us, and we decided to do another one 10 years later, and he was still available and around, so we had him come up, and as you say, you participated, and we had a great retreat. A number of things that came out of that, and we'll talk about some. But one of them was for better visibility of the chamber. We're now located at 1 School Street, which is the building right next door to the post office. You face the post office, and we're the building to the right. Although we're on the ground floor, we're in the back of the building. So we're moving a big distance across the street. From 1 School Street to 2 South Park Street. It's called the Willis House, and it has put considerable history to the Willis House also, and which we'll be writing about in our newsletter coming up in the August newsletter. So what that's given us is not only ground floor like we have, but we're going to have the front door right to the park, right to the green.
Right out of the green.
So you'll be able to come in, the sign will be there, be able to be seen from the park and from Route 120. And so we're, by August 1st, we'll be moving a little bit of stuff that we can now, and then we have a mover that'll move everything. And the critical things is the computer and the copier, and we're not taking any responsibility. Minolta's coming in to move it to their specs, and so we're not going to touch that.
Lose our warranty.
No, that's it. Yes, exactly. And I'm not going to roll that across the way. So it's strictly right across the way. And
that'd be like one of those Seinfeld episodes when you're trying to roll that Manolo across with George out there trying to push his machine.
So we're looking forward to that. The office right now is just finished being painted. Carpet's going to go in next week, and then we'll start moving in.
Great. You were kind enough to show some of us on the board and myself as well to the site. I think it's an excellent location.
It is.
It'll be a very positive thing for the chamber.
Yes, and we're going to have a nice common area also, which will have all my pamphlets and things of that nature. And we don't push that enough. We have, as you know, an information booth on the green that's staffed by the seniors from the Senior Center, starting Memorial Day weekend right through Columbus weekend. And they're open 1 to 4, 6 days a week. And so people, we have about 2,000 visitors that come through there. Last year was 22 states and 8 different countries.
That's
great. We haven't signed in where they're from and all. And it's interesting. And a lot of people don't like the highways, and they come up Route 4. They come all the way from Portsmouth, Route 4, up through Vermont and into New York State. So anyway, that and as we say, it's not just for visitors. And it's for local people too. If you want to go to the Polar Caves, or you want to go to the Old Man in the Mountain exhibit up there, or the Flumes, or whatever, we have all those pamphlets. So you're more than welcome to come in and get those. And during the off hours, we will have those in our office also. So
I know that I'm really impressed with the chamber engagement in the community. And I know you're the chamber out of the retreat has had a kind of a, taken all that good stuff that's going on, and they even renewed it to give kind of a multiplier effect, and having some ideas of engaging the community in dialogue and conversations of things that are important for the community. And I'm glad you're here today, because that's an opportunity to kind of share some of those thoughts that our chamber is looking at for our community. And I, of course, as a city manager, am looking to see how I can, wherever possible, complement, supplement, be supportive, and certainly be fully engaged in the communication with the chamber about these important items. And we have a time we can share today, and it's just a wonderful thing for you and I to be able to share, and hear about what the chamber is contemplating.
Well, that's one of the things that came out of the retreat, is more involvement with the city, and how we can help the city also, and how we can help different plans or proposals or new businesses come into the area. We always say at the chamber, if we don't let any new business in, we're standing still. You need growth every year to help, because the budget's going to go up every year, and the hardworking employees of the city certainly deserve raises, and then you have the health insurance costs going up and that type of thing. So to offset that, we need to bring in new businesses and work with them and the planning board, zoning board, city councils to do that. And I think we've been successful. One of the successes, too, is in my position, too, I sit on the board of the Grafton County Economic Development Council.
Oh, that's great.
And, in fact, we had a meeting this morning. And we were instrumental in building what they call the incubator building, the DRTC, at Centera Park.
Yes.
Where somebody has an idea, they want to develop a product, they go into there, we subsidize the rents and the space and all of that. And they have 3 years to develop a product and then go out on their own. Hopefully, they're going to establish here in the Lebanon area and hire locally. Our biggest success has been Mascoma Corp. That deals with biofuels and such.
Yes.
And what they did is they built a building right here in town, bringing tax money to the city. They've doubled their employment. They moved their corporate headquarters from Cambridge, Mass. to here. They had space left over. They had a company from Vermont move over, and they've taken over the top floor. So that's one of our big successes. We had another company, Adamab, that moved out. They had it 3 years. They bought a building from Dartmouth that was at the Centara Park. They have moved in over there. The demand has been so great that we've doubled the size of that incubator building because of the demand for people that want the space. We toured it this morning. It's 90% done, and we have companies just waiting to come in. We have wet labs, dry labs, all these pieces of equipment there. And we even had, which I didn't realize, we have one room with 12 booths in it. So somebody who wants to just find a place to hide away to do that for $300 a month. That's it. They bring in their computers, laptops, or whatever. We have everything to plug in, and they can do their business there. And so that, is another thing too. So that is helping the economy, also.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing about the threshold of creativity that because of the creative people that we have already on the scene here in these various ways, and the creativity may be shown up in technology or manufacturing or in biomed, and this people like to come into areas where the people are already there because the exchange. I mean, it's shown, I think, in studies as from a city's perspective, that if we can be that kind of cool place where the creativity is flowing, that other people come in and incubators, being there to help lift. Put some air under their sails and help them get off the ground, and yet they can interchange around this community with a lot of creative people.
A lot of the demand has been coming in from Dartmouth Medical. Some of the professors up there too can't get lab time up there, so they come in and work. We've been so successful that we are starting our second one, Grafton County Economic Development, with the help of Plymouth State University. We got a building downtown that the state had taken over from eminent domain, gave it to us, and we are now just ready to accept proposals for the renovation of the building, and with the backup of Plymouth State University. We're backed up here by Dartmouth College and their departments there, and a lot of help there. So those, big.
I love that. I love the measure, between the medical community, the technology community, the higher education community, and now we have two. Not only do we have Dartmouth, but now we have New Hampshire coming in. These are really there's a wonderful dynamics, and then put it together our local business community, and then you have that the kind of diversity that people like.
And we have other growth in the area. I mean, my co-frères in the chamber business, drool about when they hear me talk about Lebanon, because they don't have the same situation. We've got two hotel conference centers coming up on 120.
Yes.
We have a 160,000 square foot manufacturing building that Hypertherm is building on Mount Sport Road. They're going to employ 200 people. We have Dartmouth Hospital, DHMC, who's building that place on Mount Support Road also.
Yes.
So we've got, I keep saying, you come into Lebanon, you see cranes, and I don't mean birds either. I mean they're doing construction. And we have other projects coming online in West Lebanon. We have the Iron Horse program going in up on the Heights between Glen Road and Route 4 going into West Leb, and we also have the Mr. Clem's project going down in the old Bailey Brothers. So, it's a trickle down, if you will, on that. Our unemployment rate is the lowest in the state. We were at 3.4 at the end of May.
Oh, were we?
I don't know.
I know it's quite low, and I couldn't remember what it was. That's
3.4. I haven't got June's figures yet, but at the end of May was that. So, economically, we're doing extremely well.
Some of the initiatives and maybe movements that you see from the chamber, as what the chamber thinks we should be moving.
Well, one of the issues that we've been talking about considerably is the airport issue.
Yes, that's a big issue, right?
FAA, with new requirements that they're coming in with, we either have to do one of two things. Of course, we have to either extend the runways 500 feet, or cut the runways 500 feet. That will include also cutting some trees for better visibility for planes coming in. By extending the airstrips, both the north, south, east, west runways, which we have land to do, which would make the plan accessible to the FAA. They'd be happy if we did that. And in that also, in particularly the north-south runway, there's quite a bit of land there. We could push that land down and make more industrial space available. Because that industrial park up there really pays a considerable amount of taxes to the city of Lebanon. And a lot of them don't live here, so we're not educating kids, and so it's it's a good place to have that. The alternative is, and which we're concerned about, is if we don't extend, and of course FAA will pay, correct me if I'm wrong, 95% of the project to extend?
Yeah, they pay 90%, and the state pays 5%, and the local jurisdiction
is
pays
5%. Okay, so the cost isn't really that much to the city to extend those runways. If that is not done, then we have to shorten the runways 500 feet, which probably costs nothing because they're going to put New Jersey barriers, and that's as far as you can go. It will not affect Cape Air, which is our commercial airlines, because they have props, but really will affect our GA, our general aviation, with the jets that come in. It's amazing the number of jets that come into that airport.
Yeah, people are asking, I've asked our airport manager about the number of jets. So we're trying to see, because they're private jets, we don't have a ready count, but it'd be interesting to know how many come in, because jets, some of their jets are getting quieter, so people aren't recognizing that how many were coming in. So I think that would be an interesting number if one knew.
But if you went up there, our chair of the board went up the weekend of commencement, and there was jets just lined up there that people had come in for commencement.
Come in for the commencement
at Dartmouth commencement, and then there's a lot of the companies up there and around have their own jets that they use for their people coming in and out. And of course, we're getting into charter now too. But even now, this summertime, they have camps at Dartmouth. They have basketball camps and baseball camps and all that. And so Daddy flies you in the private corporate jet. When I went to camp, I drove rode on the school bus. They're coming in by jets. And if we went up there right now, I would dare say there's 3 or 4 jets sitting up there.
So it's good to utilize, because I think the council, city council, looking for comment. I know what we did. The comment period that we originally set was to expire on July 13th, but the city has extended that comment period now, so that will be more time to more comments. So it's still, when persons, hear us discussing this and hearing the chamber's perspective, it's still lots of time. There's still time to comment, and I think, and part of the engagement in the community is conversation and making comments on important projects. And since this is a very important project, I think the city is very thankful that the chamber is, letting it know what this chamber's perspective is. And I think every individual resident is asked, what's your perspective as well. And we're looking at trying to get more inputs, and just sending an email or going on the airport website, and you can. There's ways you can contact us, and if you guys see me all the time, and you can always get to me too, and I will make sure your comments are put into the hopper. But there's a procedure for it too, so we're just looking forward to comments. And
we will be getting a survey out to our members also to have them comment, and we will be commenting as a chamber.
That's good.
But I'm feeling it pretty strong. The GA really, which is general aviation, really contributes a lot to the airport budget. As I mentioned, when those jets land, it's $125, which the city gets. They buy fuel, which the city gets a cut. They do their repairs at, the old Signal, but the new FBO there. And so we get a cut there. They rent cars, we get a cut there. So that's the biggest part to me, is income to the airport budget, is the GA.
Looking to bring some money in to provide
the
city
services.
Care. Mitch, people, of course, should be aware that over a period of the years, the federal government has provided extensive funding for the development of the airport. As every airport, this is my 4th airport that I've been involved with as a manager, and every one of them had extensive federal money because the federal government has an interest in preserving and protecting the aviation capacity of the United States, and that's why they invest and they invest significant amounts of money. But the city is obligated with regard to those amounts of money that that those amounts have been paid on basically on one of the conditions is that the city pursues and operates the airport and complies with all FAA rules and regulations. So
and if they decide to close the airport, they'd have to pay back. It's millions, I'm sure, since we've taken money.
Yeah, it would open a big door up. I think the discussion, and I think you posed it well, as to whether the EA, which is a very complicated document, and it's available online too. People can look at it's called the EA, which is really an abbreviation for Environmental Assessment. And it's a very comprehensive scientific document showing the different options for the airport. And you mentioned a couple of them that are being focused on. And so we invite people to look at those options and the recommendations which the persons who did the study have. And we do hope you get involved and give your input into the city council.
And we're a critical access airport because of our location from the nearest large airport, which is Manchester. So we're critical to the area. And some of the things that happen too that people aren't always aware of. I had a close friend who was taken seriously ill in Florida. Well, they sent him up in a medical jet to Lebanon, met with the ambulance, and took him over to Hitchcock. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of that goes on also that we're, the medical community that we're, servicing because of that too. So that's critical to the area also.
A lot of things, and if you haven't got involved yet in the discussion, please do, in terms of those who are watching our show, because it sounds that's good. The Chamber is going to make sure its membership are aware of this and can give us this. The response to the surveys will be interesting. See, we look forward to those. Other things that the Chamber is looking at in terms of this is kind of. I think we have a bright future. So
we do. One of the things that came up was, and it really does not come up that often, but it came out of this was trying to keep our youth. Here in the area, the kids who've graduated from Lebanon High School or Enfield, to have them, go away to school and come back, and make this is their home. Some things that are happening that really help that issue is one is I sit on the advisory board for the River Valley Community College, and I am the treasurer for the foundation for the 7 community colleges in New Hampshire. And what we have done for the last 2 years, we have a 2+2 program. So we encourage people that might not know what they really want, and they may not be college bound. Go to like River Valley, for example, 2 years at $2,800 to $3,300 a year, pretty inexpensive, very reasonable. You get your associates. And then you are automatically accepted in UNH, Keene, and Plymouth. No questions asked.
So you can you can transfer your credits right over there,
and then you start paying the bigger bucks when you go to those schools.
But you have 2 years
to decide.
And and I think that's great. That's really great. When I was growing up, exactly that was scenario. I mean. It was funny, because I really can put myself in the shoes, even though it's seems so far away. Because people get the wildest ideas as you're growing up. Well, like me, they thought, I was so good with livestock and pets and stuff that I should be a veterinarian. And I have nothing to know about veterinarians other than I would take my livestock and stuff. And I went into a community college. Well, then I was in a zoology lab and a botany lab, cutting up things and looking at things under microscopes and thinking, and studying animals and plants and thinking, I'm not sure this is the right thing. And I attended a local government class at the community college, and it was taught by a local legislator who was an instructor there, and he took us to the state legislature to watch how government worked. And so I came home from community college and told my farm relatives, hey, I'm not going to be a veterinarian. I'm going to go be a political scientist, because that's what my community college local government professor, he was so interesting about what we could do to help the public and serve people. And I'm sure there might be reverses of that. Somebody goes to community college, and I think that's delightful. I'm so glad you're involved with community college from that.
Yeah, and we do that. Yeah. And the other issue, too, that I was appointed by the legislature last year, in early 2011, to a commission that is looking at how New Hampshire laws affect the business community. And so we've been meeting twice a month since that time. We had broke down to a subcommittee, one that looks at the nuts and bolts, workers' comp, and that kind of stuff. And then the other one is environmental, and I sit on the workers' comp, that particular one. So we meet as subcommittees once a month and as a full committee. We did our first report to the legislature in October of 2011. Our next report will be in October of this year. We have, and I was looking at the list the other day, we have, as a result of our work, facilitated 18 new bills in the legislature to affect some of these changes. And
good.
Some were antiquated, and some were, it just not cost effective. For example, if you had a business, you had to have a safety plan. If you had 5 or more employees, you had to have a safety plan or safety program made up of half staff and half management. Well, when you're that small, So we asked the labor commissioner. All the commissioners have been coming in, and to our hearings, and we said, "What do you do with that report?" "Oh, we check it off that it's been done and we file it." Well, nobody looked at it. So we tried to have it repeal entirely. We couldn't. We had to compromise. So it's now 15 or more employees. The other issue was workers' comp. If there were some issues where companies were not rating it right or not paying it, it would be a fine automatic. And it was hefty fines. We got that changed so that they would be, we would work with you and that type of thing. And so we got that in. But there's a number of bills, and then we're going to have more coming in for the 213 legislative session. So, and then the other one, we work very closely with Business and Industry Association, BIA, just held a session here last week in the Upper Valley. They hold 12 of these across the state to get input from the business community of where they feel legislature should go in the next session. So they do the whole state, put everything together and come up. And of course, every year, the last few years, the number one topic, health insurance. The health insurance. And number 2 is business taxation, is number 2. But that's a big issue.
So it's really healthy that the chamber and the business leaders in our community are getting involved in their government. And that kind of additional information and knowledge and exchange and just conversations and the reality of what's practical, what's not practical, that's really I think good for our region and good for our city. I was thinking, in the philosophy of city and the private sector and the nonprofit sectors is that every sector has its roles. But the key would be if those sectors collaborate together, so that the strength of each sector has different strengths, and so those strengths, building on those together is really, I think, critical. And that's really a great thing you're doing.
And you've started that the other night. You had the school board and the city council meet together and talk, which really hasn't been done, that often, and that's a good start. And we were looking to play a role in us working with the city on these different projects.
I think that's really terrific. I know that there's actually on the school board meeting with the city council. It was very civil, but good exchange. People were on point as to their different perspectives, and at the end of the meeting we agreed to have further meetings, and on a regular basis. So we're going to. Superintendent Gail Perliti and I are going to work on behalf of our respective bodies and do follow-up meetings.
As a result of this retreat of working with the city, we've established a subcommittee
Oh, have you?
That people from different walks of life, for example, we have Larry Ufford, who is president of Trumbull Nelson in the construction business, is going to be on the commission. Grant McEwen, senior vice president at Mascoma Bank in lending, is on the commission.
Oh, good.
Ed Carrigan, who owns Jake's and has worked with recent projects with the city, is another one. Dan Nash, who is our director, one of our directors who works on projects, is going to be chairing it along with our chair, Drew Nelson. So we will be meeting the second week of September and get their input too as to how we should proceed. So that's been in place as a result of
that's
the
really
retreat.
Good. Well, and as we close today, you know, I really value working with you, working with the chamber. One of the initiatives the city is doing right now is we put together a city manager listening tour this summer, in which I'm going to go to 10 businesses, one business each week during the summer, and spend some time with the businesses, learning about their business and what their city might do better with regard to their business. I've had 2 visits so far. I met with a delightful Barry Sellers, the owner of Geocon, and people may not know we have a jewel over there. It's there, and it's a magnificent, just thoughtful, very human working place. It is a world leader in vibrating wire technology. They just had orders going out to Kyrgyzstan, one of the stands over there in Afghan Russia area, and they had a big order in Poland, and they have like 50 international marketing agents doing this, and they have all these people that live in our communities here in this region in there, and they were the kindest, most welcoming people you could see as you go around, the smile, and they're creating these very wonderful products.
And we work with them very closely, because when a product is sent overseas, they need what they call a certificate of origin, which only can be signed by a Chamber of Commerce. So almost daily they come up from Geocon, and I have to use the corporate seal and verify that was made in Vietnam. Is another one of their big countries they do business with. Yeah, it's a jewel, as you say.
It's a jewel, and as we go through the summer, we'll probably reveal more of all these opportunities as I learn more, and the city learns more, and the business learn more about the city. And I think that working together, we're gonna continue the pace and the direction of making this a really the place it needs to be and we can do even better. Yep. Thank you, Paul, for the day.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks to the Chamber for all the work you do. Thank you for your service. Thank you to the Chamber for its service to the community.